Hey guys, Movie Junkie for Life here. And 2016 is almost done. Today is actually Old Year's night. So I am trying to get this out before the year is done. And this is actually going to be my best of 2016. I've managed to whittle it down to about 12 films. And I figure that's perfect because, 12 months in the year. Even though not every month this year was good. I mean, January is usually awful, even though I did manage to find a good movie there. Yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a quick rundown of the films that I personally liked in 2016. I liked a whole bunch, and I wouldn't mind seeing again. Um, Disclaimer, these movies are based on the ones I have seen. I'm sure there were some amazing films that I missed. I still have a couple of movies that I really want to see. One of them being Moonlight, another being The Light Between Oceans. I have not seen these films and I really want to see them. I heard good things about Manchester by the Sea, although I heard it's also really sad. That it's a really good movie. So there's still a lot of films that, a few films, not a lot, that I have to catch up on. But this is going to be my top 12 for 2016. So let's get into it really quickly. Number one, in no particular order, Deadpool. Deadpool was an original feeling, original looking, in the sense that this was a comic book movie that managed not to follow the rules that all the other comic book movies had set. Ryan Reynolds and his team, Tim Miller, everybody else involved, you could tell that they really cared about this project, and they put their everything into it. And they also proved that you don't need to spend $200 million to make an awesome movie that everybody's gonna love. I don't know anybody who has not seen this movie at least twice, far less for 3 and 4 and 5 times. So definitely looking forward to Deadpool 2, and I hope that it's just as great as Deadpool 1. My number 2 is Zootopia, a wonderfully animated film that managed to have so many messages in it that fit in our current time and our current craziness, I should say. It touched on many different topics, from racism to sexism to phobias of every kind. And it's a movie that tells us that we should always try to be better. It's not a matter of being better. You try every day to be a little bit better to the person next to you, and this world could be a much better place. The animation was wonderful. The characters were memorable, and this movie is very rewatchable, which is always huge points for a film. So Zootopia is my number 2. My number 3, Captain America Civil War. This movie, funny enough, it is still not my favorite Captain America movie. Let me get that out there. Winter Soldier is still my absolute favorite. And this movie, for me, while I had to admit that I had to see it twice to really get on board, because the first time I saw it, I just thought it was good, like good, but not great. And the second time I saw it, I was like, okay, you know what? This movie has a lot of awesome to it. With an amazing fight sequence that was so perfectly shot, characters that by now feel so familiar to us that I spent that entire movie, because I've also read the Civil War comics, tense, very afraid. And I guess thankfully, or depending on how you look at it, they kind of copped out. But we got a great story, something again that was rewatchable and enjoyable. And kudos to everybody involved. Marvel, they know the formula, and the formula works. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Captain America Civil War is my number 3. My number 4 is The Nice Guys. This is a movie not enough people freaking saw. Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe as a team of detectives, private eyes I should say. And this movie is just so good, directed and I think even written by Shane Black, who's bringing us the new Predator movie. This movie was a throwback to better cop films from back in the day, like 48 Hours, a little bit of Lethal Weapon, with a lot of 70s retro vibe thrown there. Ryan Gosling proves once again that there's nothing he can't do. And I'm a fan of Russell Crowe. I don't give a crap if Russell Crowe runs around thinking he's the best of everything. He's the best to me, so it doesn't bother me. They worked perfectly together here. And this is a movie more people need to see. This is what we need. We need original programming. We need films that don't feel like they are just okay. We need more films that feel awesome. So Nice Guys, definitely an awesome film. My next is Kubo and the Two Strings. And this movie, oh my goodness, the studio behind this, they bring us, I think they do a lot of Wallace and Gromit, the Box Trolls, a lot of films like that. And the animation here is, first of all, it's stop motion. So these people work their asses off to get this thing done. It's just so wonderfully, beautifully done. And then the story, it's definitely a Japanese type story. If you watch Japanime, you know what I'm talking about. The story does have a lot of angst and a lot of pain in it, but it's also beautifully told, wonderfully shot, gorgeous movie to look at. And all the voice actors involved did a great job. We have Charlize Theron, Matthew McConaughey here. Everybody was memorable in the best of ways. So Kubo and the Two Strings, if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend you check it out. Next on my list, a movie that I thought it was going to be a generic action movie, and it turned out to be so much more. The Accountant, starring Ben Affleck. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I went back in my mind. I tried to find something that might have been wrong with this movie, and I couldn't. This was so different from the cookie cutter action movies we usually get. I mean, nothing is wrong with cookie cutter. I actually really dug Mechanic this year, Mechanic Resurrection. I thought it was wonderful. I've seen it at least 3 times. And that is basically by the numbers action movie. But The Accountant managed to be so much more. This was more like a drama with action beats to it. Closer to Denzel Washington's Equalizer than a movie like The Mechanic. It was awesome. I really, really dug this movie. Again, the word original comes to mind. It felt like something original, and I'm giving props to any writers and directors out there, and actors too, that are looking for this original material and are not just settling for the same thing over and over again. We get too much of that, we get too much of, it was okay, it was good. I'm looking for more than that from my movies. I'm looking for movies that I want to go and track down the DVD and watch it over again and again and again when I can. That's what I want. I want rewatchability, and The Accountant felt like that to me. So huge props on that movie, and that's on my best of list. My next is another movie full of originality that I'm sorry, in a year when Independence Day come out, this movie blew alien movies out the water, and that's The Arrival, The Arrival is another movie. Arrival, starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forest Whitaker. This was a film that I was in cinema, and I was kind of lost while I was watching it. I was like, okay, I'm trying to understand what I'm seeing, but it was in a good way. It was lost in a good way. And while movies like, I'm sorry, my mind is drawing a blank right now, the Interstellar. While Interstellar was intriguing, Interstellar, after I'd seen it, I just felt like, okay, visually, great movie. It was okay. Arrival was a movie that had me blown away, in the sense that I sat there afterwards in the cinema, just looking back in my mind at what I saw and trying to figure out everything and trying to put the pieces together. A beautiful movie about the importance of communication. How we as humanity, we don't communicate. We live in a world where we're all one species even, and we insist on killing and fighting with each other over the dumbest shit. And here we have a movie that shows us the importance of understanding and patience and trying to learn what the other person, or in this case the other life form, is about before we jump to conclusions. So I really love this movie. It's so much more than just what I just said. I am just, that's just me and my basic theories, but this movie was so much more than that. And Denis Villeneuve I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I am looking forward to more and more of his work. My number 8 is Rogue One. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I actually did watch a Cinema Sins video, kind of picking it apart, and I've seen reviews that consider it mediocre. For me, this movie was not mediocre. This movie did what few movies of a blockbuster level is able to do. This movie managed to be, for me, a movie where I clinged to the characters. I didn't want anything bad to happen to them. I know there wasn't a lot of character development, but for me, in a lot of ways, it was enough. I got what I wanted out of this film. This was a Star Wars film, like Empire Strikes Back, that I would watch over again and again and again. Not only did Rogue One fit perfectly for me into the entire franchise, it's right there before New Hope, and I think it was like a missing puzzle piece we didn't even know we were missing. This movie managed to feel like something new. It felt like I met an old friend, but that person had changed a lot in all the best ways. That's the best way I can describe Rogue One. And I'm looking forward to more like this. I don't know if Disney can keep this up, because they're promising a new Star Wars film like every year. But you know what? I'm looking forward to see what they come with. We have a young Han Solo movie coming out. I have no idea if it's going to be this good, but Rogue One for me was better than Force Awakens, which I enjoyed that as well immensely. But this for me was a movie with much more heart to it, and I really dug it because of that. So Rogue One is my number 8. So we're coming down to the final lap, and it brings me to my number 9, Moana. Moana, Disney's been doing this for years. Disney has a formula perfectly worked out. But what I loved about Moana was the music, first of all. I mean, Frozen's Let It Go it kind of drove me crazy after a while, and I would drive people crazy with it. But here we have another song with Go in the title. And again, it's memorable, it's catchy. You're Welcome, Dwayne Johnson. It's another one that's so catchy and so memorable. And I can see kids loving this for years to come. The visuals, the animation was wonderful. It was an amalgamation of both 2D hand-drawn animation and 3D animation. It was so beautifully done. The ocean here was something to behold. It looked so good. The voice work was incredible. And while Moana's story is not one we haven't seen before, in terms of, this young person trying to find their way, trying to find where they fit in life, and to make their own path and so forth. We have seen it before. It's rare that we get a story where Moana wasn't looking for a boyfriend. Moana wasn't looking for her prince. There was nothing like that. Even Frozen had elements of that with Anna, but here we had a young girl who her focus was being the best person she could be. It had nothing to do with a boy. It had nothing to do with the love of a boy or of a prince or whatever. And that's a wonderful message for young kids out there, boys or girls. That's a wonderful message. And I'm so glad to see Disney stretching and finally, going in that direction, So it's a beautiful movie all around, and it's very rewatchable. So it ends up on my best of list. My number 10 is Passengers. And this is one that I struggled with a little bit, but the more I think about it, the more I think I did enjoy Passengers. For me, I think the reason Passengers is getting the kind of negativity it's getting is more to do with the trailer. I felt like the trailer was very misleading. What I thought this movie was going to be, I thought this was going to be like a sci-fi action flick with a romantic element in it. That's not what this movie is. This movie is a romantic story. It's a romance story shot in space. I read a review where someone wrote that they said it was Titanic in space, and it kind of is that. Not all of it, but it kind of is that. And it's well acted. I think Chris Pratt really shows what he can do as an actor. His first half of the movie was like a kind of like Robinson Crusoe thing, and I thought he did a fantastic job. Jennifer Lawrence also did a wonderful job, and their chemistry was on point. I dug the elements like the Shining showing up in this movie, 2001: A Space Odyssey. I even got Sleeping Beauty from this movie. There was so much of that stuff. And like I said, it's not a perfect film, but I thoroughly enjoyed it and I want to see it again. You know, I really want to see it again. So Passengers is on my best of list. And that brings me to my number 11, which I'm kind of cheating here, guys, because my number 11 is going to be an amalgamation of a lot of the horror movies that came out this year. Conjuring 2, Don't Breathe, Lights Out, and The Witch. I thought horror had a great year this year. Ouija 2. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot that one. Ouija 2. This year, 2016, was one of the best years for horror I've seen in a long time. And it is so good to see my favorite genre finally stepping back up and out into the limelight. These movies shoot for next to nothing and they're going on to make millions of dollars, and I love it. And I hope the people involved keep putting out this quality of work, that they don't settle in and give us the same thing over and over again. I am seeing a whole new generation of horror directors that are showing a real love for the genre. And huge props and congratulations to, like, for instance, the writer, the creator of Lights Out. He had a little YouTube video that I saw actually like last year, and it was really scary. It was like no more than maybe like 10 minutes long, and it was terrifying. And now they turned that into a full-length movie, so good on him. You know, Lights Out was really enjoyable. Don't Breathe, the scene, the way they shot the scene in pitch blackness, they did it differently than anything that we'd seen before. And Sam Elliott is terrifying in this movie. The Witch was a horror movie that was more cerebral than visual, and I dug it. I really, really liked it. I liked that it had me thinking about what I was seeing and hearing. And Ouija 2, oh my god, it was a unicorn. It's the sequel that managed to be far superior to the original, and I'm so glad I went to see it, because I hated the original movie and I still convinced myself to see Ouija 2, and I'm happy I did. You can see Ouija 2 without seeing Ouija 1 and you'll still understand it. Huge props to those involved with that movie, and for proving that sometimes it can be better the second time around. So number 11, most of the horror films of 2016, especially the ones that I named, those guys, they get huge congratulations from me and huge thanks as a horror fan. And that brings me to my number 12 and final best movie of 2016, Nocturnal Animals. A visually amazing movie to watch, a story that had me thinking from beginning to end, a story within a story. I fell down the rabbit hole and I happily went there, with amazing performances by Jake Gyllenhaal, Michael Shannon, Aaron Johnson, and Amy Adams. If you have not seen Nocturnal Animals, I highly, 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 highly recommend you see it, especially if you prefer your movies that have some depth to them. This is not a movie I think mainstreamers are going to like or even going to get, but this is definitely a movie worth seeing and dissecting. It's one of those films that are going to have you thinking long, long, long after you've seen it. And it's worth reviewing again and again. I think director Tom Ford is amazing. I didn't even know that Tom Ford was a director. I only knew him as a fashion designer. He and his artistic flair, it is here, but it fits perfectly into this world. I just really love this movie, guys, and I think it was a wonderful way to end the year. So Nocturnal Animals, it's my last movie, but it's one of my best movies for 2016. And that's gonna be it for me, guys, at least for my best of list. Look out for my worst of list. I'm gonna try to keep that one short, because oh god, I don't even want to think about some of those movies again. Hopefully they're gonna be some of those movies are gonna be, you know, the kind of movies you watch when you're drunk with friends and get a kick out of in time, you know. So who knows, maybe some of them are going to become cult classics, but for now they're just awful. And that's it, guys. So until next time, bye bye.